So again, just to introduce myself, my name is Rich Graves. I'm the Director of Product Management here at ServiceAid. And for many of you know, there's a transition of Cloud Service Management from CA Technologies to ServiceAid on October 1st. So this is really, well, I guess our second presentation at ServiceAid to the community. And we really want to focus today on the upcoming release, which is called Goldfish. Talk about that, as well as sort of the vision and roadmap of what's happening immediately after that Goldfish release. So very exciting. I'm really excited to see sort of increase in investment, increase in pace, and as a product manager, those are two things that you'd love to hear. Real quick, we are showing futures. We're talking about futures. These are not commitments. I'm sure you've seen similar disclaimers before. We just want to inform you of the vision and the roadmap, and all the dates are targets here, and features are targets, not commitments. So a quick thing about ServiceAid. So if you didn't make the last presentation, which was in mid-October, really what happened is ServiceAid, which was it's really a combination of two things. It's the Cloud Service Management technology that came from CA Technologies, as well as a machine learning platform that came from a company called WG Sigma Systems, which had the exact same management team as ServiceAid, essentially just rebranded the company to be more aligned to service management and bring in the service management platform, Cloud Service Management. But the end goal is to combine machine learning into service management to better address common issues in service management, like context for an analyst, getting the right answer to that analyst as fast as they possibly can, doing better things from a chat perspective of being able to route people to the route a person to the right answer, or route them to the right technician that can solve their problem. So I think it's an exciting opportunity to do something a bit different in service management. Obviously, we have a lot of work to do to get these solutions merged together, but an exciting time and an exciting roadmap as well. So I think real quick on the vision, the mission, the values of ServiceAid, so who we are as a company. We really, as I just said, want to leverage big data in unique ways and machine learning in unique ways to solve problems for service management that have existed forever and try to do a better job in solving them now with these new technologies that are out there. Additionally, we really want to be the value leader in service management for what we call sort of that tier 2 type customer. We're not going after massive enterprise organizations. We're not trying to be a platform like ServiceNow. You know, we really feel like we can do a great job for managed service providers and mid-sized organizations, which are still very large organizations with very large revenue streams, but what's typically considered in the software world a mid-sized business, and to help them solve their problems and let them use all the functionality they need from service management in an easy-to-use way, get up to speed quickly, and make it not a complex experience, make it a simple-to-use experience. From a value perspective, we'll continue to just focus on the cloud, be a SaaS-only solution, as Cloud Service Management has been for a very long time, and then also cost focus. We're going to do everything we can to manage our costs and of course, manage costs for customers. So allow you to be cost focused, drive down your costs, and keep our licensing simple and hopefully very value based. Okay, so real quick onto some recent news just to catch everyone up. And some of this has been on the community, but if you haven't checked out the community in a while, just a quick update. So the Firefly release did come out in October. There was 3 main areas that we focused on: analyst productivity, user experience, and performance. Analyst productivity was about making it, streamlining some of the features around getting data on an end user when you're working on a ticket, as well as enhancing the Elasticsearch for English-only users, and we're in the process of rolling that out as we speak, so we'll talk more about that. On the user experience side, really spent a lot of time on attachments and the way those are uploaded to a ticket, the way they're sent from a ticket, and made that a much easier process. Really just avoided having to go to email for a lot of things. They can do them directly in the tool. And also performance. We worked to optimize the SLA engine to make that much better from a performance standpoint and also increase the stability of the system. so we don't have problems with the SLA engine going forward. Okay. Also, there's 2 hot fixes that happened over the last few weeks, or really last month now. The hotfix number 1 was in late October and dealt with some caching issues. So we had sort of a persistent problem when we did an upgrade. Users would see strange errors until they refreshed their cache, their browser cache, and then those errors would go away. Well, you know, we were able to address that, eliminate that problem going forward. We noticed it first in the rollout to the North America system, so we fixed it and addressed it before we did the rollout to the European and Asia Pacific systems. So that won't be an issue going forward. There's also some AD sync issues that we addressed. And then the second hot fix just a few weeks back addressed some Java vulnerabilities, some character issues. There was a ticket save issue with not showing the ID, the ticket ID after save. And then also really almost an enhancement, but resolved a challenge for a couple of customers. The now button on the actual date. A lot of analysts, when they finished up a change, when the change has been implemented, and they go to, you know, that change implementation date, the completion date, the actual date, they would go in and just hit the now button because it's easy and hit save and go. But in all reality, the chances that you're completing, you know, your change and at the exact moment you're hitting that now button is highly unlikely. And so we had a discussion with customers and with the team and felt that it was the right thing to do and a quick change we can make to remove that now button so that customers get better data. People are forced to actually fill out that form and put in an actual date. What was happening is people were putting in the now date because it was easy, and that was then generate confusion because there was a lot of changes that were planned to be implemented, say, on a Saturday, and the change ticket said it was actually implemented on a Monday morning. So we eliminated that issue there and improved things for some customers as well. We also did some regular infrastructure maintenance on November 12th, just patches and upgrading hardware, those types of things. Also, so as I mentioned, Elasticsearch. So Elasticsearch is really the enhanced search engine we're using for the global search. So the global search, top right-hand pane of the application, top right-hand part of the application. So we have rolled out the code a while back and have slowly been adding beta customers. Now it's ready to be available for all English language customers. But what happens is we have to sort of turn this on a customer-by-customer basis, essentially do a re-indexing to make sure that the search indexes are updated so that you get an optimized search experience. So today, right now, about 15 customers, English language customers, do have this live and have been notified that it's now live in their environment. This weekend, we'll be adding another 22 customers. We can do this in batches. And then after that, we're going to do a pause because we really don't like making changes to the system in December, and I know our customers don't like that either. This is obviously end of year for many people or a high season in traffic, and just change isn't a good idea. So we'll be pausing all the work done on the rollout of Elasticsearch until after the end of the calendar year and picking that up again along with the Goldfish rollout, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. And the nice thing about the Goldfish rollout, it will now enable this for all of our customers regardless of your language in the system. Okay. And if you do have any questions on that, feel free to post those. I see there's a few coming in. Okay. Oh, looks like there was some problems with the slides, but that's now resolved. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. Some additional activities I think that's important to let everybody know. We did update our Pink Verify certification. That's the ITIL certification where Pink Elephant, an independent, really ITIL expert, goes through and updates and reviews our alignment to ITIL. So we did update that certification. Now it's assigned to ServiceAid. Additionally, community, there's new stuff that goes in the community every single day, whether it's discussions or ideas or comments or blogs or posts. Lots of activity there. So if you're not active on the community, I do encourage you to take a look daily, weekly, whatever works for you. And lastly, if you haven't seen the ServiceAid.com website, do check it out. We're building that out. Right now it really just focuses on cloud service management and sort of the current product offering, but we're adding a blog very, very soon. We've added sort of support landing page, which will eventually turn into the new support portal as we transition things. We're also just starting our Twitter and LinkedIn pages, so take a look and follow those as well. Okay, so now on to the Goldfish release. So the Goldfish release I'm very happy to say, has been moved up. And again, I was talking to someone the other day. It's very rare that as a product manager, you get a call from your head of engineering and they say, can we release early? So I don't know if there's any product manager would say no to that question. But we have moved this up to January. There's a couple of reasons for that. We've had increased pace, increased investment, and additionally, there's a lot of other things we want to get to, so we want to really close out this release and start on the next one as soon as we possibly can. So the three big things in this release are the Analyst mobile app, which is the #2 idea in the community. It really should be #1, but it's a close #2, which is a new mobile app, a brand new mobile app focused on analyst use cases. So as many of you know, we have a mobile app today for Android and iOS devices that's focused only on self-service. So it makes it easy for that end user to log a ticket, check an update of the ticket, do an approval, open an item from the catalog, but it doesn't focus on the analyst use cases. And obviously the community of users we have are administrators and analysts, and that's an important feature for them, and so we'll be delivering that. I'll talk about that. Delivery date will be a little bit different because it's not, it's a separate release path, so it'll come in February, but the rest of Goldfish will come in January, and we'll talk about that. On user experience, as I just mentioned, the Elasticsearch will be available in all languages, and we'll also be focusing on some read-only tickets or archiving that we talked a little bit about before. That'll really improve performance when you're doing SLA calculations on active tickets, when you're doing queries of the ticket table, when you're loading Ticket Center and those types of areas. You'll see much better performance, and that will also have some changes in advanced reporting as well. On the analyst productivity side, there are some improvements to Scratchpad, notifications, as well as tracking on attachments, and Microsoft Edge support. So I'll go through all these in detail, but those are the highlights right there. So first on the mobile app, and the screenshots we're showing here, these are early mock-ups. The final version may or may not look exactly like this, but this is what we're using to have our discussions and to start customer discussions, which should start next week. So we're focusing on those most critical analyst tasks. That means seeing what's in their queue, creating tickets, updating tickets, also the ability to use existing filters that you have. So if you created filters as an analyst in Ticket Center, those filters will be available in the mobile app. We want to make that simple so you don't have to recreate things or have to do things in a mobile app when it's sometimes easier to create a more advanced filter in a web app and reuse those. Also being able to take actions on tickets. So all the actions are available from the web that are now will be available on the mobile app. And you also have some quick actions you can take. If you see the icons below each of those rows of tickets, you can add a work log quickly, add an attachment, send a mail, or that little finger icon, which is hard to see, is bringing up all the actions from that point of view. And you can drill into these tickets and see a lot more detail, but just wanted to show the high level of this. One of the other things we really wanted to do is make login and authentication really simple. There's a lot of customers that are using single sign-on. There's a lot of customers that are using sort of the native authentication and cloud service management. So we wanted to better handle both of those use cases and use what a lot of sort of modern web apps and mobile apps are using, called like a magic link, which you'll get a notification in your email, which is confirming you are who you say you are, and will not have to worry about putting in a domain and putting in all this other information that you normally would have to do, and a lot of end users don't know that, and a lot of analysts may not know that because they're just going from a shortcut or from an SSO URL. So we want to make that really simple so that it's very easy to get into the app and then stay in the app and not have to re-authenticate all the time. Okay, so more to come there. The plan is for us to start doing some user testing, really more like A/B type testing of mockups next week. So we'll be reaching out to many of you who have voted for this idea on the community, setting up some open sessions where we can have some dialogue and you can tell us, where things are looking good and where things need some work on the mobile app. Okay. Next on Elasticsearch. So again, as I said before, this is the new global search being rolled out to English language customers now. Will, in Goldfish, be available to all customers regardless of language. And it really is all about improving the performance of searching, and as well as improving the results and allowing you to do much better advanced searches. So you can, if you're an advanced user, you can create a search query, using exact fields on objects and get exactly what you're looking for back. Or you could just do, and, or, Boolean type searches using, double quotes and those types of things to be able to find what you're looking for. So it can cater to a simple user who just puts in a bunch of keywords and finds results very quickly, or the more advanced user who's going to look for something very, very specific in the system and be able to return those results very quickly. Okay. Next on Scratchpad. So Scratchpad, it's been very interesting to see the comments and the queries on Scratchpad on the community. Scratchpad is designed for fast ticket entry. It's for organizations that, especially in off-hours support, they have, sort of an overflow call center or an overflow team, and it may not be someone who's a technical expert answering that call, at 10 p.m. at night, but that person they do need to log the call. So the Scratchpad interface is designed specifically for fast ticket logging. It doesn't have all the details of the ticket detail page, and there's no intention for it to have all those details. You want the customer to come in very quickly, or the user, the analyst, to come in very quickly, fill out the basic details, take some notes while I'm chatting on the phone with a person, and hit submit to create that ticket or open it up in a new tab or, route it to the right person. Or if it's something really simple like a password reset, maybe I can resolve it all in Scratchpad and click the checkbox to quick close the ticket. So it's really for a call taker, someone who's logging tickets and, needs to move quickly through these phone calls and route them to the right people, or, just log them and let the system route it to the right person. So we had a lot of feedback and comments and ideas in the community related to improving Scratchpad. So we did add a few different things here. We removed the ticket type restriction to the catalog item search. So what that really means is just that service catalog item field on the screen. Previously, the results would be restricted by the ticket type that you had selected on the form. Well, we found from a lot of customers that an analyst may not know what the ticket type is and may not care. They want to search for the password reset catalog item. Does it matter if it's an incident or request? No, it doesn't. They just want to get the results and put it in. And then based on that, you'll move forward with the process of creating the ticket. We also added the CCTI, or the categorization field, onto the Scratchpad. The original intent was to use everything from the catalog, but a lot of customers say, well, we don't have a CCTI associated with a catalog item, or we want to overwrite it in special cases. So that's available. If you choose to use it, it's not a required field, but you can certainly use it as well. And there were some organizations that did want their analysts to follow a very specific process, and that was all in a full ticket detail screen, not in the Scratchpad. So there was ideas in the community to allow for an admin to basically hide the Scratchpad screen from all analysts in the system so that they could enforce their process, and certainly that was added as well. So lots of enhancements to the Scratchpad that will hopefully make it more useful for some organizations, or allow other organizations that have a different process to hide that from their users. Next on attachments. So as we did in Firefly, the last release, we made a lot of improvements to attachments. We have a lot more from the community that we're attacking as well in this release. The first is sending a notification to an owner for all activity related to attachment. So the request came in as really if, let's say I'm an owner and Persona is the end user, I'm the assignee on the ticket, and Persona uploads a screenshot to a ticket that I'm assigned to. I'm going to now get notified based on that. So previously there wasn't a notification mechanism built in for that. So now I'll get notified if Persona adds, each time he adds an attachment, I'll get notified. If an attachment is deleted, I'll be notified. So a lot more auditing and communications and notifications based on attachments. Additionally, adding attachments to a ticket that's in a resolved, a closed, or a locked state. So what we also found is talking to customers that if a change, for example, was in the approval process, so at that point it's locked and no one can make any edits to that ticket. But, there was still a need to submit additional documentation maybe during the approval. Maybe there was additional screenshots or processes or run books that wanted to be attached that weren't necessarily linked to that approval, but were important and people wanted to add them during the approval process. So that's one example of why there is the ability now to add attachments to closed or locked or resolved tickets as well. That's only field changes are locked down and not attachments. Additionally, from an auditing and activity history perspective, all the updates of adding an attachment, relating attachment, removing it, unrelating it, all of those, all that history from an audit perspective is now in the activity history log. So that's an important thing for many organizations as well. And last but certainly not least on the attachments, it's hard to see in the screenshot on the bottom right here, but there's a small paperclip icon now on the Ticket Center that indicates if a ticket has an attachment. So this is something, again, that came in as an idea in the community and got a lot of votes and feedback, just making it easier so an analyst can see which attachments have, or excuse me, which tickets have attachments and can drill into that from Ticket Center. Okay. Additionally, on the auditing side, there was some additional auditing. So there is, if you're not aware, a configuration parameter we added probably about a year and a half ago called Enable Ticket Field Auditing, which just increases the number of objects or attributes on a ticket that are audited and put into that activity history section of a ticket. Some organizations don't like all this extra detail. That's why it's an option. So you can turn this on, and we now have added the ticket details field as a ticket that's audited as part of this configuration parameter. So if the ticket details field is edited or updated, you'll now see that in the activity history as well. Okay. So also performance improvements. So this is really the archive functionality that we discussed, gosh, probably 3 or 4 months ago. So what we were originally planning for the Firefly release was to roll out some archiving improvements, and we heard from the community that there were some concerns about the time frame, about how things worked, and so we paused. The code for that is live in the system, but it's not turned on. So this is the nice thing about Agile and having a SaaS application is we just kept that functionality in the tool but didn't turn it on, and then went back and tried to address all the concerns that customers had. So what the Archival does, in short, is we want to help the system perform much better by moving older ticket data out of the transactional tables. So when I talk about the transactional tables, if you think about the live ticket table, what you're seeing in Ticket Center, of what the table that when you run SLA calculations, SLAs are calculated on that ticket table, and also searches are done, it's all against that ticket table. So what we wanted to do is move older closed tickets, and it's important to note that this is closed tickets, out of that transactional table and move them into what we call an archive table, which essentially keeps them in the product, but makes them read-only. And that was that keeps them in the product point is the biggest concern that customers had. Previously, we were going with an approach of removing the data from the system and providing it to you in essentially a flat file. But customers wanted that history still in the system, so we basically created multiple table structures and kept it in the system and made it read-only. So let me walk through that a little bit more to make sure everybody understands that. So if you think about it in simplest terms, tickets with an open date of greater than 12 months ago that are in a status of closed. So today, if I'm not correct, is November 29th. So if we say, you know, November 28th last year, there was a ticket that is in a closed status. That ticket would be archived, and what archived means is being pulled out of the transactional tables, and we'll do this on a quarterly basis. We're not doing this the minute it becomes old, but on a quarterly basis, and move it to these essentially archive tables. And what that means is you can still search for the ticket. You can still search for the ticket by ticket number, by person, by all the details that are in the ticket. And when you bring up that ticket, it's now in a read-only mode. So in the read-only mode, essentially it'll look exactly the same as it does today. You can't edit any fields. You can't take any actions on that ticket other than copying to new. Otherwise, that ticket looks exactly the same. You can find it in the global search, and it's also available for reporting in a new domain in advanced reporting. So to talk a little bit more about that, since we have today like your Cloud SM domain, we'll have a new domain that includes regular tickets and archive tickets. So you could do more historical reporting there, you know, based on you know, active and inactive tickets. So we'll be providing more detail on this. It's not going to go live the second, you know, we roll out Goldfish. We want to roll out Goldfish and then several weeks later roll this out in staging, give you a chance to see it, see how it looks different, see how it works, and raise any, you know, certainly concerns then. But if you do have concerns now, you know, feel free to ask questions, feel free to contact Persona 9, and we can talk through those. And talking more about the rollout, I was just saying, so we'll be rolling this out first in staging after Goldfish goes live. So Goldfish will go live in mid-January. We'll roll this out in late January is the target, and then later roll it out in production about 2 weeks later in early February. Additionally, you know, we've talked about in the past the login history table. So the login history table, you know, essentially has the start time and the end time of every single session that's logged into your environment or your slice. And so we want to basically, most of that data doesn't matter after a period of time. We know you want it available for auditing purposes. If you want to see who's been logging in, see your license activity, we know we want at least 3 months of data in that. So you'll have a configurable parameter in the configuration parameters where you can set this retention data period. So if 3 months, 90 days worth of data is enough, if 6 months is better, or 12 months is better, you have the ability to set that, and that's a new parameter that'll be available with Goldfish as well, so you can set that depending on how long you want that login history data. So I'll pause there. Again, if there are questions on this archival process and moving the tickets to read-only, please do let us know. I think what was great about the last time we announced these changes is that, you know, people reached out to us and had, you know, frank conversations with us about the concerns, and we put it on pause, put it on hold, and addressed those concerns. And we want to be very open with this and make sure that we're meeting your needs. The end goal is to address performance. So we want to make sure that the system continues to be stable and performant, and as your ticket volume grows, that it's not impacting your processes like searching for a ticket or searching for running SLAs. And again, SLAs, that engine we have optimized now, but that's just a big task, and it runs very frequently. So if you have a ton of old closed tickets out there, it's just not performing well, and we know we can do a better job from a performance standpoint there. Okay. Okay, so if you have any questions on this, feel free to ask questions on the Q&A on the webcast. as well as, feel free to send an email to myself or Prasanna, or rate something on the community as well. So the last thing before I turn things over to Prasanna for a demonstration of some of these new features is advanced reporting. So several enhancements, more on really the structure and the way really the back end works on advanced reporting. We'll have the ability to edit multiple domains, and that's in part to be able to support the new archiving feature. We'll be adding the new archive tables to a new domain that'll be available. In addition, we have noticed performance problems when customers start to get really close to 75 tables. And so the domain comes with a certain number of tables, about 30 to 40 tables, and then customers can do joins or add other tables from the product that aren't exposed by default. And once you get up to 75, that's when we start to see performance problems with running reports and long-running queries or reports not showing up. So we have put some warnings and restrictions in the product. And so if you are getting close to that limit and you do need to create some reports that you can't do without more tables, we can talk about, you can reach out to support and we can create additional domains for you so you can create some of those reports that way. Okay, so now I will pass it over to Prasanna. Prasanna will walk through a demonstration of some of the new features of Goldfish. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them on WebEx Q&A. And while Prasanna is getting ready to share his desktop, if you do have any audio questions, you can feel free to ask them right now using #6 or #6 on your phone to unmute yourself. Okay. Prasanna, you there?
Yeah. Able to see the screen?
Yep. Yeah, we can see the screen and I can hear you.
Okay, fine. So let me start with the new features which we added in the Goldfish. So one you can see directly on the ticket center is the attachment icon. So if this is on the list view, you could be able to see that if the tickets have got any attachment to that, it would show up in this. Same thing, we also done the enhancements in the grid view. So that if you go to the grid view, you will see the attachment icon. I can also do filter on top of that so that I can do sort based on the attachment. And then get the list of attachments which are there up front and then only work on those things. So, and then we have added a couple of other attachment related enhancements to the system. Let me go over some of them. So one of them is like the activity history on the attachment. So whenever I do add a new attachment, I would be able to get the notifications done. Let me go and add a new attachment. So I have an option to relate existing and add new. Let me do a relate existing one. So and then select one of the attachments which is there. Just for an example, let me take one of these. So I've added one of the attachments. I just did the existing attachment with that. Let me go to the activity history and then see what it has got. So if you see the attachment history, the activity history, you could see the attachments added are related. So one attachment. And if you see the assignment, that currently the ticket is on Austin Michael. He is owning the ticket. So on the admin side, we added a new attachment, and then it should notify the owner, that is Austin, a message that there was a new attachment added for this particular ticket, and the following attachment monitor.jpg file name have been added or related by the user. What user I'm using, currently it will show me that to the ticket and then send out an email. So, and also you could also see here this would be in case if I am asking adding a new attachment, it will not send me an email because I know I've already attached myself attaching an attachment to the ticket. I don't require to notify on that. So irrespective of that, you need to have the notification of the activity on the attachments. So this is irrespective of who adds the attachment or relates the attachment or deletes the attachment, the activity history would get added for that user. So let me go and delete one of the attachments. So I have one more thing on the attachment. Let me try to do an unrelated attachment. So if you see most of the attachments, you would already use that, or you can make that as a global attachment, and that attachment would be used by several other tickets and also in other places. So that's the reason earlier we had a delete option of attachment. It used to warn and delete irrespective of where it is used. And we realized that and then sort of addressing that in a different way. So for example, this global URL is an attachment. Let me do an unrelated attachment. It gives me a warning message. This attachment will be unrelated from the record if it is related to any other active records. Otherwise, it would go and delete. If the attachment is only for this ticket, it would go and delete from the attachment. So, and you would see that message, okay, I've deleted or unrelated the attachment. So you would see that activity for that particular action. The attachments deleted or unrelated, global URL, and again notify the owner that it's been removed or deleted the attachments there. So since we have this problem, the global attachment also has been taken care along with this attachment. One more change which we did was this communication. You could see now you have this communication with a message called scheduled. So why this? Because in case of any mail issue or something, or we have an option from the ticket to send an email. Let me do that. And then I can just use any of the templates. Just taking it as an example. I can schedule this message not to deliver for a time there. Let me do that for tomorrow. So, and then send them across. So I have this message because since what we have captured that information, we would have capturing that whenever it's created or whenever it is scheduled to run the message or send the message to the recipient. So that's the reason what we have done is like we put the schedule to the future date. So that way it will give a message stating that, okay, this message has been scheduled, not delivered yet, in case if you are scheduling it to deliver later, to address that. Since we have some of the issues by some of the customers that they have scheduled it to by 2017 for a particular user, and then fortunately that user was resigned from the company and then show up that message stating that, okay, somebody has logged in with his credentials or something like that and had some compliance issues. So to address that, so we did this small enhancement to notify that that this was scheduled for this particular date, not being created or done from that particular user for that date. So that's on the ticket one. So, and also we did the enhancements to the activity history, ticket details. Let me just update. So I just updated the details. The other ones also were there. That was anyway there in the earlier release, the description and other fields for the audit history. So I just added the other activities there. So let me go to the activity history. So you would see that field updates. Those are the updates which are done for the auditing of the ticket details, ticket information. So you would see description got updated and also details got added to that. Earlier you would have seen only description there, and then now the details also got added to that. So for this update capability, I think it's a config parameter, not generally switched on by default. In case if you are looking for compliance perspective, you could turn it on based on the requirement there. The same the config parameter will hold good for details. No need to add anything new or configure new for the adding the add details functionality there. So one more feature which we added, that we mentioned, is Scratchpad. So in Scratchpad earlier, the drop down of ticket type was there, and then when I'm searching on service catalog, it was always based on the ticket type which I selected earlier. So that was a restriction which would probably create some of the other confusion. So to avoid that, so we have done the search catalog icons open so that they can do search on anything. Let me just search for a provision new employee. So let me go and select that. So you would see that automatically the change request was the ticket type for that. It got selected, whereas my default was the other one. So, and also you can add new service because this template would already have some CTI which is already selected. So in case if you want to override that, you could do that, or you can just directly go and create a provision new ticket using that. So when you click on that, it would go and create a new ticket. So it got created. So source was Scratchpad, and all the details got added. So that's how you would have the CCTI coming into picture for populating the Scratchpad information. One of the small enhancements which we have done was on the ticket screen. In case if I'm going to create a new ticket, while there were some enhancements looking for customer having duplicate names with a different email address or something. If I'm researching on test, so in case if there are users with that test, it could show up there and it will not allow you to create a new one. So they need to create something which will not exist for that. So to avoid that, what we have done is that create contact button option available for the user in case if they want to create a new contact, they would be able to create directly from the ticket screen itself. This is again based on the config parameter, the test creation for the role for that particular. If the user has got permission for that role, they would be able to create contact from the ticket directly. So, and also let me show you the config parameter for turning off the Scratchpad. So I could do search on Scratchpad, or you could go filter it out on that, the IDs. So here it's like the catalog, the Scratchpad option is shown so that we can see the Scratchpad from most of the other places. So let me turn it off. They could see from here, there is one place where they could see the Scratchpad, and also from the global search, if I'm trying to contact or search on admin user, we go to the older one. So you could see the Scratchpad here. You could open from here too for the user directly. So I think if I'm going now to turn off that and then see, it would turn it off in all the places wherever the Scratchpad link or the Scratchpad option was available for the user. We turn it off. Let me just do a sign out. Now you could see from the workspaces, you won't see the Scratchpad there, the option, and also in the ticket center where earlier you had a Scratchpad over here, that is not turned off now. Let me go and do a search. Again, I'll use the same admin user. To search, let me expand the user there. So you would not see the Scratchpad over here. So all the places wherever the link was there for Scratchpad have been turned off for that particular slice.
And Prasanth, there's a couple questions that come in, and both from the most recent few are all related to the communication template that's associated with notifying the owner on like once an attachment's updated. Is that communication template configurable?
Configurable, yes, the content is configurable, but the two would be defaulted to the assigned individual. In case if assigned individual is not there, then it will be the group, assigned group. You can't add new there, but you could able to modify the content of the message.
Okay. Okay, perfect.
Okay, yeah. So let me switch back to the report and then I'll show you the enhancements which we have done on the report. So earlier, whenever you go to the advanced reporting and then do an edit report, so you are directly getting into the custom cloud SN domain. That was the other domain which is than the other default domain. So whatever the changes you have done or report done or custom fields created and then sync, all those things were going to the single domain which was custom cloud SM. So which was like in case of a couple of customers have got more tables and then associated in the report and then getting into performance issues. And then Jasper has got some limitation with the number of tables in the domain. And that was the reason for us to come up with having an option for our customer to go and create multiple domains and then have an option to edit them, create new reports out of that, create a doc view out of that. So you could able to see the new domains from there. So that list would show me the other domain list there. So let me go back to the list and then go to the Cloud SM1 domain quickly and then go to edit the domain. So here you would see all the list of tables which are there. I think you see the tables here. Which provides you the current list. On the left side, you would see all the tables existing in the system, and on the right side, you would see the tables which are in the domain. So this is the data source, the table list of tables, and these are the tables which are selected or available in the domain. So, and then currently, because of the performance other issues, so there were the restrictions from the Jasper, so we did enhancements to that. For example, now if I try to add a new table to this or move a table from the left side to the right side, you would see that message that the domain limitation has been done and it will not add that table to the domain. In case if you want to do that, you can do the backwards from, we can move out the tables from the left side, from the right side to the left side, from the domain to the other one. So there again, there is a catch there. If a report is created using that table, it will give you a warning. You can allow it to remove, but it will give a warning when you compile the domain or save the domain. So when you are moving out of tables from the domain, you need to take care that that table is not used for any report or any ad hoc query or any other internal purpose there. So you could able to move such reports, such tables out, and then you would allow you to again have an option to move from the right side to the left side, from the tables, available table to the selecting the tables from the right side. So the current limitation which we have coming up with the limitation of 50, from 50 tables, it starts giving you a warning. Until 75, you would be able to still add the tables to the domain. Once it reaches to 75, it would restrict completely from the adding the new domain, new tables to the domain. And then in such cases, you could always go to the support and then request for a new domain, which you would be able to create a new domain and provide it to you so that you would be able to add, create new domain, add whatever the tables, new tables which are required, and then using that you would be able to logically separate by different entities, logically separate the domains, for example, one for SLA specifically, one for configuration items, or for incident, service request, something like that. Logical separation can be created, and then you can name them domain accordingly and then use it for the reporting. So that would enhance the performance. Number of tables which are limited in the domain, in the performance would definitely increase for the reporting. So that's on the reporting side. And then we'll go back quickly to the Elasticsearch where we have added the new thing. Let me log in for the user for that location. Let me find out the user which are there. We can take any questions meanwhile.
No other questions coming in right now. Well, I'd correct myself. There is one other question that I'm responding to, but one customer asked, should they see Elasticsearch yet in their system? And Elasticsearch is being rolled out right now. So only by the end of this week, it'll be about 40 customers total will have it on their environments. So if you are an English-only account and you don't see it by the end of this week, it'll come in January because we want to do a change freeze for December. I will be notifying the rest of the accounts that will get Elasticsearch indexed and turned on. You should get an email from me today or maybe tomorrow about the update that will happen this weekend.
Okay. Let me do a search for that. So this would be the search. For example, if I want to search on a specific keyword or the Spanish characters, so let me take one of that. Let me take a ticket. I need to key in that character, so it will be difficult for me. So I'll just copy that from one of the existing ones. So it can be based on the configuration item or the affected service or any field like that. Let me pick up this provision related one. So this is a category, so it could allow you to search based on the category. Let me search a ticket for that particular provision with tickets. So it would filter out and give me a list of tickets which are provision category is there, provision there, or might be in the keyword, might be in the search, might be in the description. Somewhere where the keyword of the provision is there for that ticket, it would show up there. So that the attributes which are there localized or the current ticket details in the ticket detail if you see the characters which are seen here, let me open up a ticket. The priority field, the impact field, urgency field, and those impact, urgency, source code, all those things, and then the categorization which are out of the box, and then you use the local language catalog to translate those characters to this one. So those things would be searchable from this one. Apart from that, whatever the key and values, like for description, you would have entered a Spanish characters, that is definitely searchable. So apart from that, the list of other items which are like the values of category and other stuff are also localized. So that also would be available for you to search from that character specific there. So that's on the the search, Elasticsearch with localization support. Then for the Archival, probably I will have to log into the other system, which it's a time to. So you want to take that up, or meanwhile I will set up the.
Why don't we go ahead and move forward to the back to the presentation? I know we're over time here.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just make sure I'm the presenter now. So we do know I went over my allotted time and didn't give Prasanna enough time, but I do certainly understand if people do need to drop. I'm going to continue and talk about the roadmap for beyond Goldfish and what's coming very soon after. This will be recorded and posted to the community, so if you have another meeting you have to run to, I certainly understand, but we'd love to have you stay as well. So I'll just continue to move forward. So what's important to note, I think, is with Goldfish, we talked about the term user voice is something that goes on in Agile a lot. So listening to our customers and taking their ideas and putting them in the solution. There's 8 ideas that are included in this release. And Prasanna, make sure you do meet your line there. Thanks. So there are 8 ideas from the community that went into this release. I was looking at some of the numbers today. Total of 228 votes for these ideas that were included. And then I looked back, and since we started the idea process, basically 2.5 years ago, just a little under 2.5 years, we've now included 54 ideas that came directly from customers and from the community in the product. So I think that's something that's exciting, and it's really important from our perspective to make sure we're listening to our customers and keep improving the product based on their needs and wants there as well. So certainly the top one there is the agent features for the mobile app, which will be coming in February. So if we talk now about the roadmap, from a timeline perspective, I think it's good to look back and see what we delivered last November, February, July, and Firefly in October. Goldfish, again, is planned for January. The target for North America, South America customers is January 21st. And the target for European and Asia Pacific customers is January 28th. Those are targets, and we'll communicate the formal official dates when we get closer. The Analyst mobile app, the target is to go live in the app stores during the month of February. That'll be Google and Google Play and the Apple App Store. And then coming shortly after that is what we call Horseshoe, and I'll talk more about Horseshoe. And so that's the name of our next release. And Horseshoe is a move out of the CA data center that we're on today and moving to a public cloud infrastructure. Now, the real goal here is to, it's really to improve performance, availability, redundancy, and ultimately, I think what's most important is upgrade times. So we want to build out a cloud infrastructure that can do all those things. So the end goal, and we're not going to get to all of this in release 1, Horseshoe, is when we are doing upgrades, that we have multiple data centers in a region in a geography, and we can do upgrades in a matter of minutes, hopefully have no downtime, but have more redundancy and failover for upgrades as well as for if there's outages as well. Part of that move, something that we've heard from customers for a while, is really some more branding in the URL and more branding in the login page. So I'll just go ahead and move to the next slide and talk a little bit about that. So I'll sort of jump to the last major bullet here, the new custom login URL. So when we move to the new infrastructure in the new data center, what will allow you to do is essentially choose the subdomain in your URL. So the example I'm giving here is your name dot data center, which will have different geographies and different data centers. Like today we have SM1 and SM2 and SM3. We'll have a different data center subdomain there, and then serviceaid.com. So for example, customer name dot NA1 .serviceaid.com. So you could have some more customization in that URL, make it a little bit easier to remember. And if you are sending it to your customers as a managed service provider, it has some of that branding from your organization rather than just ServiceAid or Cloud Service Management. With the release of Goldfish, we will have a new slice parameter that's available, and not a configuration parameter, an actual field on the slice screen where it will default to your slice ID. So if your slice ID is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that will be the default in your name when you come to upgrade at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 .datacenter.serviceaid.com. We want you to change that field. We want you to brand it with your company name or whatever makes sense for your organization. So you will need to change that slice ID before the migration happens. Additionally, on that login page, you'll have the ability to set a custom logo on that login page. So instead of seeing a ServiceAid logo on the login page, if that's something you want to customize or personalize, you certainly can do that to brand it better for your employees or customers. When we update this URL, obviously single sign-on, AD sync, and other integration points will need to change. And our goal is to provide as much notice as possible, do this and migrate staging first, allow time for testing and validation, and then go into live in production. So if we talk a little bit about the process of how this is going to be rolled out, is really we want to do this on a customer-by-customer basis. We will start moving customers in January, and then continue, and the goal really is to be done in the month of March. So we'll have more details on the process. I mean, this really is a program that we want to manage and make this as seamless as possible for customers. But the end goal is to have a more performant infrastructure with better availability, better redundancy, better failover, and provide a better experience to you and ultimately reduce upgrade times as well. Okay. So I know there's a lot in that, and there's going to be a lot more communications, a lot more webcasts to discuss that and make sure that everyone's aware of what's coming in the future on this. Okay. So if we talk more about strategic themes, and strategic themes are really what helps us build out the roadmap. So what are our key business initiatives that we want to tackle? What are our concerns from customers? What are opportunities in the market? What are our partners doing so we can try to build ultimately a better solution to grow the customer base and to grow the product? So there's 5 key areas that we're focused on. First is speeding time to resolution, so making the analyst better at doing their job. I mean, ultimately, that's what service management is all about, is if something goes wrong, let's get that user back up to speed as soon as possible. Also, business intelligence, so let's be able to make it easier for you to get data and information and analytics out of the system, improve reporting, improve dashboards, improve analytics as well. Operational excellence, so this is us as a vendor, improving our cloud infrastructure, improving the way we do upgrades, those types of things as well. MSP use cases, managed service providers continue to be one of our biggest verticals or types of customers that are using the solution. And I think, and the reason for that is with multi-tenancy, org-based security, simple onboarding, but there's still opportunities to improve those things and improve multi-tenancy in a couple different areas of the tool. And last but certainly not least is customer voice, which I mentioned before a few slides back. Those are ideas from existing customers. So not only ideas, bug fixes, defects, that's sort of that bucket of work that we have to do every release to keep the product in good shape, but also continue to take input from existing customers to make sure we're doing what they need to grow the solution inside the organization. Okay. So here's what we're looking at a high level from the roadmap perspective. And so Firefly is what we delivered back in October. Goldfish is what we just talked about, so all those items will be rolled out. And one thing we didn't mention as well was Microsoft Edge certification. So we will officially support Microsoft Edge as an additional browser. Internet Explorer has a lot of problems with HTML5 and JavaScript just not performing well. So we haven't recommended it in the past for the analysts to use. It certainly works. It just doesn't perform as well as Chrome and Firefox and Safari. So Microsoft Edge is Microsoft's replacement for Internet Explorer. Has performed very well in our tests, very similar browser capabilities to Chrome and Firefox. So if you are on a modern version, a new version of Windows, you can certainly use Edge and get good experience and good performance, from the tool. So the last column here on the roadmap slide is under consideration. These are all different, big buckets of functionality and work that we're looking into really for 2017. So some of these things will happen early on in 2017. Some of these things will be later, and we want to get to all these, but these are targets and may not happen. So we are looking at redesigning the SLA engine to make that much easier to set up, much easier to manage, and perform much, much better. We are looking at intelligent chat capabilities, as well as an analyst research utility that we talked a little bit about before. We were hoping to get into Goldfish, but didn't make it. Improving the way you build reports and use JasperSoft and use analytics inside CSM, as well as what we just talked about, moving to the public cloud infrastructure, next generation, high availability and failover. Next is real-time updates to Ticket Center. This is something we got some good feedback from the community on about, really almost like push notifications in Ticket Center. So when new tickets come in that are, assigned to you or assigned to your group, they're going to pop up immediately in Ticket Center. We've done some nice proof of concepts of that as well. Next is specific to MSP use cases, is really improving that customer onboarding experience to make that as the least amount of resources necessary for an MSP, a managed service provider, to bring on a new customer for them, that make that whole experience much easier, maybe a bunch of checkboxes in the solution or some easy tools to import data and onboard them to just make that a fast experience for MSPs. Rich text support and knowledge-based articles is something we've wanted to do for a while, and I think we get in soon. In-application notifications, so almost like a Facebook type of notification mechanism. So when you're in the tool as an analyst and updates are happening to tickets that you may not have open at that exact point in time, that you can see sort of a notification history that you can pick what notifications you want to act upon at that point in time. And then also look into different integrations with collaboration tools, with growing interest in Slack and FlowDoc and HipChat and all these other tools that are out there. What do organizations want to do? How do they want to use those in service management, and look at different integration points there. And lastly here is license and session management. So we've heard from managed service providers that they want to manage the licenses that their end customers are using. So their tenant or one of their organizations, they want to assign them a certain amount of licenses and monitor that usage, and certainly monetize that usage if a customer, if they're billing their end customer based on the number of licenses they use. So we want to provide those tools as well as much better visibility and insight into your usage of the tool and your usage of licenses, both the named or concurrent licenses. Okay. So I know I rushed through those, and there may be a few questions that have come up. But I think in summary, the key points here, and I'll probably put the last bullet first, is hopefully what you're seeing is an increased amount of investment and focus on cloud service management now that we're part of ServiceAid, and ServiceAid's business is really right now it's cloud service management. So we really want to show an increased pace, an increased focus on customers, and grow the product and grow the customer base as well. The next release, as I mentioned before, is Goldfish, targeted in staging the week of January 9th, and then production January 21st and 28th. So January 21st would be the target for North America and South America customers, and the 28th would be for European and Asia Pacific customers. The mobile app for analysts is targeted to follow in February in the different app stores for Google and Android and iOS devices. And then the Horseshoe release, which I talked about briefly, is all focused on that move to the public cloud, and we'll start sort of that rollout on a customer-by-customer basis in January, and the goal is to complete that in March. So I do see a couple more questions that have come in. I'm just reading those. Okay, so I'm going to ask a quick polling question for the folks that are on. Okay, well, two questions here. So I do want to discuss a little bit more on the archived approach. So I'll popping up one question here, but on the transition to ServiceAid. And then the next question will be on Archival. But on Archival, one question came in, is 12 months the maximum number of time we can keep those closed tickets in the active transactional tables? There is some flexibility, and we want to talk about that and keep it as an open conversation right now, and then make a decision before the release. What's I think important to note, and one of the big changes we made from the previous approach to Archival to what we're proposing for Goldfish, is that all those tickets still exist in the system. They're archived, which really means they're read-only. They're no longer going to be available in, say, Ticket Center, which closed tickets aren't anyway, but you can still find them in search. You can still report against them. It will be a different domain. But those tickets still exist in the system. And I think previously the archival approach was to remove those tickets, and that didn't work for customers. And so that's why we made this change and made sure that those tickets, you still find them, they still look exactly the same, they're just read-only and not in the transactional tables, which makes the system perform much better. Okay. Okay. So let me just move on. I'm going to close this poll. Not everybody's finished, but I'm going to show the next poll, which it requires me to wait 8 seconds, so hold tight. Really just about, the next one is about archival and the time period that works for you. Okay. Oh, here we go. Oh. Okay, well, I'm not a polling expert on WebEx, but it's not letting me show my second poll. So the question I wanted to ask was about the time range for moving the data, the closed tickets that are older than a year, 12 months, out of those transactional tables into the archival tables. We talked to one organization yesterday that said 13 months is better because sometimes they want to do historical reporting on, month to month, November of this year versus November of last year, the complete month when the month ends. So 13 months was better for them. So if 12 months doesn't work, please let us know, and let's have an open conversation and see what we can do to help you. There are going to be limits, and it's not going to be 5 years, 10 years, 3 years, whatever. It needs to be shorter than that, but we can certainly have an open conversation and figure out what works best for you and what works best for all customers as well. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me on that. Let me see. Okay. Okay, it's not showing me the polls. Any other questions? And feel free to ask questions on Q&A. I see Prasanna's answered a couple more. And then if you do have an audio question, you can hit #6 or #6 on your phone to unmute yourself and ask a question now. Okay. Well, I know we did go 20 minutes over. For all of you who did stick around, thank you very much. We'll go ahead and end the recording line, and I'll shut down the audio line, but I will stay on WebEx. If there's any other questions that come up, Prasanna and I will be there and answer any questions that come up on Q&A. Otherwise, thank you so much for attending, and we will be posting the recording to this on the community within the next 48 hours or so. Okay? Thank you, everyone. I do appreciate your time.